The depreciation rate in the McLaren market decreased during the last 6 months, and this has important implications for value-conscious buyers, sellers and owners. Now, most statistics in this video apply to the US market, but we'll also have a look at the German market, but more about that when we get to it. Starting with the 12C, we can see this typical boom and bust pattern that I'm sure you are familiar with. Prices fell relatively quickly in the second half of 2022, but stabilized a bit during last year. Coupes are down by 5.3% and spiders by 7.5%. These numbers amount to $5.9 and $9.7 thousand respectively. Caution needs to be used though when interpreting the numbers. You can see from the confidence intervals that the uncertainty is high due to the low market supply. Averaging the results makes a lot of sense here. Continuing with the 650S, the long-term trend is similar and follows this typical boom and bust pattern. You can see though that we're missing a data point for the coupes. There were no clean title coupes for sale. Luckily for us, the trend of the coupe is highly correlated to the spiders trend. The spiders are 5.6% cheaper than last year, and this rate amounts to $9.6 thousand. The 570S is a lot newer and sits in the same price range, but is of course a step down in the hierarchy. The price trends though are similar to the previous models. Looking at the previous 12 months, we can see that coupes are down by 6.5% or $10.2 thousand, and spiders by 10% or $18.5 thousand. The difference between the two models is relatively large. Some of it is due to chance, but we cannot forget that spiders are a lot newer. They are from 2019, while coupes tend to be from 2017. Also, the GTs sit in the same price range. Most cars are priced between $160 and $180 thousand. Looking at the price trend, we can see that prices have been decreasing since April 2022. Unsurprisingly, this is similar to the previous models. Compared to last year, GTs are 10.5% cheaper and this amounts to $19.5 thousand. Numbers that are on par with the 570S spiders. Compared to the previous models, the Artura is of course a big step up in terms of price point. They're still brand new and therefore we don't have a full year's worth of data. Looking at the price trend between June 2023 and March 2024, we can see that the initial drop was small, but this mainly results from the low number of miles that were added. More recently, a few higher mileage cars, meaning cars with more than 1000 miles, were put up for sale, and this revealed that the depreciation curve might be steep. During the last 9 months, prices came down by 8.2% or $21.7 thousand. Annualizing this, we would arrive at minus 10.4%. It'll be interesting to see if the McLaren market will follow the Ferrari market when it comes to the hybrid versus non-hybrid cars. But more about the Ferrari market in a different video. We'll continue now with the 600LT. Similar to all other models, prices are decreasing. The depreciation rates are then also similar to other models from these model years. Coupes are down by 9% or $22.3 thousand, and spiders by 8.4% or $21.5 thousand. Now I looked a little bit deeper into this and noticed that especially the high mileage cars, so the ones with more than 11,000 miles, lost less than this average. And this means that there are only a few models left: the 675LT, the 720S and the 765LT. The 675LT might be the bargain of the century. Coupes are priced at $242 thousand and spiders at $268 thousand. This is 4.9 and 7.1% lower than 1 year ago. There's some uncertainty in these numbers as the market is small and the market composition changed a bit compared to 1 year ago. Correcting for this, we arrive at minus 0.8% for the coupe and minus 4.2% for the spiders. Very respectable numbers. But now then, the 720S. It's notorious for its high depreciation, but things are changing slowly. The market dynamics are similar to those in the 570S market. Looking at the price trends, we can see the classical boom and bust pattern. Just as in the rest of the market, the depreciation rate was the highest in the second half of 2022. Especially in the coupe market, the rate flattened. Coupes lost 6.5% or $16.5 thousand, while spiders lost 10.1% or $31.6 thousand. To some extent, this difference can be explained by the age gap. Spiders tend to be 2 years newer than the coupes. And with that we move on to the last model, the 765 LT. Coupes sit at $468,000 and Spiders at $590,000. For coupes this means that prices decreased by 8.2% during last year, while this was 9.9% for the Spiders. Due to the high price point, the absolute decreases are at an eye-watering level of $42,000 and $65,000 respectively. So we covered now most models in the US market, and I don't blame you if you lost track of the numbers, but don't worry, we'll summarize them soon. First we need to have a look at the German market. This is something that has been a long time coming, and I will start to incorporate it in the most popular market analysis. The German car market is one of the biggest, if not the biggest car market in the EU, and can serve as a proxy for the other EU countries. It also has a few other advantages. Germany, for example, doesn't have an excessive CO2 tax on vehicle prices. These taxes can distort depreciation patterns. Many other EU countries have such a tax rate, and in some cases it can make up more than half of the purchase price of the car. A classic example is the basic V8 Mustang, which costs approximately 55,000 euros in the Netherlands, excluding the CO2 tax, but ends up at 132,000 euros after the tax is included. But there's another advantage that comes with tracking the German market. You see, many of the high-end dealers throughout the EU advertise their stock in Germany without any of the aforementioned CO2 tax. So by following the German market, we indirectly include a bit of the rest of the countries. I don't have too much data yet, but let's see how prices developed during the last 6 months. We go through this rather quickly, starting with the 12C and the 650S. Prices are up by 2.2% in the 12C coupe market and by 3% in the Spider market. But these markets are very small, so the uncertainty is high. The price increase is then also not statistically confirmed. The same applies to the 650S markets. Coupes are down by 2.7% and Spiders appear to be up by 17%. But this results from a change in market composition. Corrected for this, we arrive at an increase of 1.2%. Moving on to the 570Ss and the GTs, we can see that GTs lost approximately 3.2% during the last 6 months, and that this is 5.7% for the 570 coupes. 570 Spiders are down by 3.7%. The 570S market is relatively small, so again, the uncertainty in these numbers is high. Continuing with the Arturas, we can see that prices are decreasing. An Artura is now 4.5% cheaper than 6 months ago. Just as in the US market, we're looking over here at the effect of the first miles, or in this case, kilometers, on the price of a car. Also in the 600 LT market, prices are dropping. Spiders are down by 6.4%, or 17.7 thousand euros, while this is 1.3% or 3.2 thousand euros in the coupe market. The Spider market is newer, but this difference between the two might be a bit too big to attribute to the age differences. There's some randomness involved here. If we look at the last model, the 720S, we can see again decreasing trends. The 720S market, however, is one of the largest ones, so these numbers are a bit more reliable. Coupes are down by 7.3% or 18.8 thousand euros, and Spiders by 6% or 17.8 thousand euros. These are on the high side though. Now we covered a lot of numbers. In fact, I don't think that I ever included as many graphs as that I did in this video. At first I tried to combine the US and the German market into one graph, but it all became a bit messy when a split by roof type was required. So I'm not yet sure how I will approach this in the future. What do you think? Would you like to see one market update video with the US and the German market, and perhaps later also the UK market? Or would you like to see one video per country? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. In any case, it's time that we start to aggregate these numbers and draw some conclusions from them. If we start with the US market, we can see that the depreciation rate was between roughly 2 and 10.5% during last year. GTs lost the most and the 675 LTs the least. This graph shows a few interesting developments. You see, it shows that the McLaren market depreciated less than before, and that it is returning back to a normal depreciation pattern. Let me show you. The average depreciation rate during last year was 7.5%. A respectable number to be fair. If I add the results of the previous market update to the plot, so the depreciation rates between September 2022 and 23, we can see that the average used to be minus 12.2%. In other words, McLaren started to depreciate more slowly, and as you can see, this applies to all models. Now if we look at the US market again, we can also see that the ranking starts to make sense. The newest models tend to lose more than the older ones. There's a clear difference between the 12C, 650S and 675 LT and the rest. Moreover, the depreciation rate of the Artura is likely to be an underestimation. I analyzed the 9-month rate, but we saw that values didn't drop so much in the beginning as the cars were not yet accumulating miles. So I expect that the Artura moves to the left in the next market update. So in the US market we saw that McLarens are again depreciating less quickly and that older cars are again depreciating more slowly than the newer ones. If we make a quick comparison between the US and the German market, we can see that the German market lost on average 6.3%. This is slightly less than the 7.5% in the US market. But to be honest, we don't have enough data to draw conclusions based on these results. I analyzed the German market results and they already had some randomness in them. So you need to interpret this plot with a pinch of salt. For the remainder of this video, I will then also focus on US values only. You see, this shift in depreciation pattern brought the McLaren market much more in line with the rest of the sports and supercar market. Over here we have the US year-over-year price changes for almost all cars that feature on my channel. On the horizontal axis we have the price change compared to last year in percentages, and on the vertical axis we have the number of cars to which this change applies. The median decrease during last year was 7.7%, and most cars lost between 2 and 12%. So this means that with a rate of 7.5%, the McLaren market decreased in line with the rest of the market. The older cars like the 12C, 650S and 675 LT even did slightly better. Let's wrap up and deduce what these numbers mean for you as a seller, buyer or owner. We saw that McLarens lost only 7.5%, and this means that the depreciation decreased compared to 6 months ago. The rate is now aligned to the rest of the market. Moreover, the depreciation dynamics are in line with what can be expected. Old cars are depreciating slower than new cars. This didn't hold during the pandemic, and neither during the correction after the pandemic. Now if you're a buyer and have been patiently waiting for the end of this above average correction, now might be a good time to start and explore the market. Of course, values will still come down in the future, but you won't be buying in a period in which depreciation rates are higher than average. The few additional months that you waited saved you a lot of money. Sellers in turn should take note of the differences in depreciation rates. If priced right, an unsold 650S is likely to lose less than a 600 LT. One could therefore consider to offer more aggressive discounts on the latter one. Moreover, and we didn't discuss this in the video, but there are big differences between the models when it comes to the time it takes to sell them. Close to 60% of the 600 LTs that are for sale in March were, for example, also for sale in January. For 570Ss, this was only 30%. I will zoom into this in the next McLaren market update. Now if you're an owner who has been anxiously tracking the prices during the last 1.5 years, then it might be time to de-stress. The highest depreciating models just reached over double digits, and many models declined in line with the rest of the market. One never knows what the future holds, but the current trend is pointing towards lower rates than 1 year ago. So it might be worthwhile to reconsider a potential selling decision if it's based on the depreciation rate. And with that we arrive at the end of this video. Now if you enjoy this data-driven way of analyzing car markets but would like to see an analysis for a different car, head over to my channel. Over there you'll find data-driven market updates for a large variety of cars. Can't find the car you're looking for? Let me know the name of the car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you next week for a new video.